We've got the 15 best Easter eggs you might have missed in the Justice League movie. Last week, Warner Brothers released the DCEU's first big superhero team-up movie, Justice League. Sorry, Suicide Squad, you're more villains than heroes.
What?
And like most superhero movies, JL has more Easter eggs than you can shake a digitally removed mustache at. So we're cracking open the 15 best Easter eggs that you might have missed. Of course, since we are talking about Easter eggs, that means we need to warn you about spoilers, so consider this your spoiler warning.
Amen.
First up, fans of the 1978 Superman movie might recognize one of the security guards that Barry the Flash Allen meets when he visits his dad in prison. That security guard is played by none other than Mark McClure, who also played the role of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen in the 1978 film. Another nod to the 1978 Superman film comes in the form of the original John Williams music theme, which can be heard in Justice League. When a recently resurrected Superman fights the rest of the League at his memorial statue, a darker version of the iconic super theme plays in the background. The original John Williams Superman theme isn't the only soundtrack Easter egg in Justice League. When Joss Whedon filled in for Zack Snyder on reshoots, he brought in the composer for the Tim Burton 1989 Batman movie, Danny Elfman. Since Elfman wrote the iconic Batman theme heard in the 1989 movie, he figured, why not copy and paste that into the Justice League? Which is why we heard it at various times throughout the film. Danny Elfman's theme wasn't the only reference to the Tim Burton Batman universe in Justice League. When Alfred and Bruce Wayne are on Bruce Wayne's private jet, Alfred mentions the good old days when they only had to worry about exploding wind-up penguins. Now Alfred is, of course, talking about Batman's longtime rival, the Penguin, but exploding penguins were also a big part of Tim Burton's 1992 film, Batman Returns. The Easter eggs in Justice League weren't only relegated to referencing old movies. At the end of Justice League, when Bruce Wayne is walking through Wayne Manor, he requests they renovate it and include a big round table with 6 chairs. A big round table with 6 chairs? You know, that sounds a whole lot like the Hall of Justice from the 1973 Superfriends cartoon. Now, this isn't a guarantee that the Superfriends are now canon in the DCEU, but our fingers are so crossed, because that would be dope. But who could help fill out some of those seats? Well, in the ancient battle against the new god Steppenwolf with the Amazons and the Atlanteans, not only do we see a Green Lantern joining the fray, but we catch sight of some of the old gods as well, specifically Zeus and Hercules, who have frequently made appearances in the Wonder Woman comic books. As for that lantern, he died in battle, and we saw that ring fly off, presumably to find a new protector for Sector 2814. Now, the film also gave comic fans a lot of sly references to sink their teeth into. In the scene at the start of the movie where Batman fights a parademon, we can see a sign for Janus Cosmetics. The same Janus Cosmetics owned by Batman villain Black Mask, who debuted in Batman 386. Will the next Batman movie feature more of the Gotham underworld, or was this just a throwaway reference for hardcore fans? Either way, details like this do a great job of fleshing out the DCEU. Now, another nod to the comics came when the bat signal lights up Gotham's sky, and the sign for Ace Chemicals can clearly be seen on the Gotham skyline. Comic readers may know Ace Chemicals as the chemical manufacturer where the Joker and Harley Quinn transformed into their crazy alter egos. Ace Chemicals first appeared in Detective Comics 168, and with Harley's chemical mishap making an appearance in 2016's Suicide Squad, we assume the inclusion of Ace Chemicals here is not a coincidence. In another blink and you'll miss it reference, when Bruce Wayne meets Barry Allen in Barry's lair, the Flash mentions that he can speak in gorilla sign language. Now, we all know one of Flash's main rivals in the comics is the super intelligent ape Gorilla Grodd, established in Flash 106, so this could hint at the inclusion of Grodd in the DCEU, and in that same scene, there is a diagnostic on screen outlining Barry's suit's resistance to cold, so it looks like he's already ready to go up against longtime nemesis Captain Cold. Another Easter egg for comic fans can be found in the scene where Commissioner Gordon talks to a detective about all of the alien sightings around town. That detective is Crispus Allen. Introduced in Detective Comics 742, Crispus is a huge part of the Gotham Central series, which if you haven't read it, you're missing out. And we talked about this last week, but let's not forget the post-credit scenes. The first is reference to Flash and Superman racing in the comics, which usually results in either a tie or the Flash winning. I take umbrage to that. We can discuss that in a separate thread, maybe. And the second, with Lex Luthor, is a reference to one of the many teams that form as the antithesis to the Justice League, be it the Legion of Doom in Justice League or the Secret Society of Supervillains. Finally, one of the coolest Easter eggs was right in front of our face. The Justice League movie was released in North America on November 17th. Now, fans of the Death and Return of Superman comic art might remember that that series was released on, and you guessed it, November 17th, 1992. So Justice League, which features elements from the Death and Return of Superman story, came out on the same day as the comic that inspired it, and I think, while small, that is pretty cool! But what do you think? What was your favorite Easter egg from Justice League? What do these Easter eggs mean for the DCEU? Are we actually going to get a Super Friends movie in the near future? Let's discuss. And be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss one of our world-famous stories, theories, or breakdowns. If you're a YouTube viewer, mash that little bell and you'll get notified as soon as a new video pops. And Facebook viewers, give us a like, won't you? Everybody likes to be liked. And did you get a chance to check out our Lost Stranger Things music video? If the music doesn't get stuck in your head after one viewing, you might be a monster.